Hello everyone and welcome to the Honeybee Stamps YouTube channel and our Adventure Awaits YouTube hop. My name is Kelly and I'm so excited that you're joining us for this hop. Make sure you check out the description box below for all the details on our giveaways and our amazing design team member videos. Today's video is all about our new lovely layers trees. I have them all cut out here in white paper and we're going to do some ink blending today. Now, I love these trees because they are simple to put together. You can either cut these out of solid colored cardstock or white paper as I've done here, and they really are easy to put together and create a quick card, which what we're going to do today. So I'm just getting all of my little pieces all organized here, and I've cut out two for each style of tree. Now I'm using gathered twigs to go on the little stem, and that little stem is going to go on the tree that is there to the far left that looks like almost a little piece of shrubbery, and that's going to end up being a fall colored tree when we do the ink blending on that. And while I'm got my browns out here, I'm going to do all of the trunks and stems, and so I'm taking walnut stain for this large trunk that's going to go up that really beautiful pine tree or spruce or whatever we have there to the top right corner. And I have a little dish here that I just like to add all of my die cuts into, and then once I go in between colors or I'm ready to start a new color, I just wipe down my little mat and then I can move on to another color. So I'm going to continue working on this really tall tree, and I'm going to start out with Rustic Wilderness, which is a really deep, rich green, and I am going really heavy-handed, really dipping into that ink and then lightening it up as it goes towards the tip of the tree. So you can see the bottom is going to be really dark and rich, and then we're going to lighten it up. I'm going to pull out my second little tree and do the same thing. Now, when I'm wanting darker ink areas, I also press down harder on the bristles, and then I lighten up on the press down or lighten up on my grip as I move towards where I want to move that color of ink lighter. Okay, so I am all finished with the Rustic Wilderness there. Now I'm going to take the layering part of that tree. So that's what's going to give us all that really pretty dimension and really make this look like it's a three-dimensional tree. So I am taking my Rustic Wilderness brush and I'm just going to go over this light-handed. You can tell I'm not dipping back into the ink, and I'm going to make this layer lighter than we did the layer underneath. And I'm working the bristles back and forth, and that is going to make darker little areas where that is cut into the paper, and the little impressed areas or embossed areas are pressed into the paper. And if we layer this over the top, I can kind of get a look at the way that this tree is going to look. And then if you're happy with that, you can kind of move on. This really is about experimenting with color. And so I'm pulling out another green, and that's what's so fun about these die cuts in these trees is there's really no right or wrong way to blend on color. You can really mix and match colors. You can see here I've pulled in that olive green of the peeled paint, mixing that in with the Rustic Wilderness that's on the top, and then kind of blending that all together, and it's going to give it different variations in the green. Now I always like to hold up my layers to see how we're looking because I can always add more. You can't really take any away after you add it, but I'm really liking the way that we have the dark green of the Rustic Wilderness underneath, and then the mix of the lighter Rustic Wilderness because I'm not dipping back into that ink and I'm not really pressing hard on those bristles, and then the peeled paint, which is that olive color on the top. And I can kind of knock out the little centerpieces here, layer that on top, and I'm pretty happy with the way that is looking. So I'm going to move on to the smaller little tree, which looks like a little blue spruce or something like that. And I am going to take iced spruce, which is a really pretty, rich, deep blue-green. And this is going to be really pretty all layered together on the final card. Just like we did with the big tree, I'm going to take the bottom layer and I'm going to do it really dark and rich on that bottom layer. And for the top layer, you can see I have my little brush there, and I'm just doing a once over coat, not dipping back into the ink. And I'm working that all over the top layer of that smaller little tree. I think those trees would be so cute lined up as little Christmas trees or something like that when we move into the winter time and we're looking for holiday cards. But I'm going to pick up both layers just like what I did with the other tree, and I am just removing all those little pieces. I'm adding those or laying it one on top of the other, and I'm happy with the way that turned out. So I'm going to ink up the top layer of the second little tree and do the exact same thing. So I'm just working that ice spruce all over the top layer. I can layer those together and we can kind of see what we get here. Now you'll notice as I'm doing the second tree that I'm going to add the layers together or hold them together, and I'm going to work on it. Now I'm adding in a little tiny bit of that olive color of the peeled paint, just a little skim over the top. I'm going to hold those up together to see what they look like. And then I'm actually going to go back in with the ice spruce to darken up that bottom layer. That's why I love to keep all my layers separate and not glue them together right away, because then I can kind of go back, adjust, and play with and really experiment with the different colors of ink. Okay, so I'm moving on to our third treetop, and I am going to color this one in like a fall tree. Now this is really getting into the experimentation of the ink. I love doing this. So I've got the peeled paint there towards the bottom, and then I've gone in with the orange of crackling campfire. You can see I'm working that in and blending it in. Now, when you mix green and orange together, you are going to get a little bit of a muddy brown color, but that's okay because it's a fall tree. I'm going in with a yellow or mustard seed towards the top, which is going to be beautiful. And then to me, these are a little too like blended together into little stripes. So I'm taking a brush, going all over that to kind of mix up the colors a little bit and move it around. And I'm even taking my gathered twigs brush now. So I'm blending in browns, and you'll see all those little leaves and all those little areas kind of darken up and come to life and look like a fall tree. So this is all just experimenting with my dirty brushes on my desk, mixing colors together. Here I'm pulling more orange in from the rustic wilderness. I'm even pulling the peeled paint ink off of my mat. And then you can see there to the far left how those little fall treetops ended up with the greens and browns and yellows and oranges all mixed together. Now I am layering my trees together, and I'm starting out with that large big pine tree, and I found it easier to lay down the trunk of the tree onto the bottom layer of our tree first. And you can kind of see where everything kind of needs to line up. And then I can kind of shimmy around and move around the top layer with liquid adhesive, because it's going to give you time to move everything around before it dries to make sure it's all in place. Now let's put together one of our cute little spruce trees. And this one's super simple because all you need to do is layer the top layer over the bottom layer, and then we have a really cute little layered tree. I still think those are going to be so cute with a little bit of snow or something on them for Christmas time. I can do the second one here, just little bitty dots. We don't want too much glue to kind of ooze out around the edges. And I can kind of shimmy that around and make sure all those little branches and boughs of the tree are all lined up. And then we can do our fall trees. I don't know if these are little oak trees or maple trees, but we're going to take the little stump to the tree. This is going to be super easy. And all we need to do is add just a little dab of adhesive and then add the trunk of the tree on to the bottom of those pretty leaves. Now I have a solid colored card base that I think goes really well with that blue kind of sprucey looking tree that we have colored. And I've got some of our new pattern paper from the Adventure Awaits paper pad trimmed down and ready to go. You can see that wood grain background there. And now I'm going to stamp the sentiment. Now the sentiment set that I'm using is called Be Still, and it's a new sentiment set with this release. It's got some really beautiful sentiments in it, and I'm stamping onto craft cardstock with my walnut stain oxide ink, and it says, "The world is a better place with you in it." You can see where I have arranged that sentiment to go towards the bottom of that strip of paper, and that's because I'm going to arrange all my little trees kind of around and kind of coming down like they're setting on top of that sentiment almost. So I've got my solid color paper here as my card base. I have my trimmed down cardstock, and you can see how that's going to stretch all the way across. I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive here and add that onto my card base, and then we'll get everything arranged on the card base. Now that sentiment set does have a coordinating die set, so if you wanted to cut that out and then adhere that anywhere on the front of your card, you could do that, or even on the inside of your card. I can add down my little sentiment strip that I've made here and press that into place, and then we're going to start adding our cute little lovely layers trees. Now I'm adding these trees onto the front of the card with some little tabbed foam dots. I love these because it's easier for me to release those little tabbed backers. I'm going to place that really tall tree right in the center. You can see where I'm nestling it down right on top of that sentiment. And then we'll take our little spruce tree and then our little fall colored tree. You can see how you could do a bunch of the same tree to stretch across your card. You could mix together the trees as I've done here. You could do a bunch of little fall trees or color any of them to look like fall trees. But here we go, a really simple, fun card, experimenting with ink, playing with a little bit of our brand new pen or paper, and then of course that's a really beautiful sentiment from the Be Still sentiment set. Here's a close-up look at the finished card and the beautiful, lovely layers trees. Make sure you check out the description box below and check out all of our amazing design team members' videos. And don't forget to leave us a comment because you could be one of the winners of one of the $50 gift cards. See you next time. Bye-bye.